if I don't trust you with the little things of honoring your opinion, and then I'm not going to trust you with the bigger things.
I see things a certain way and say, here's what's happening and here's how we should handle it. And then you come in sometimes like, I think this is what's happening and this is how we should handle it. And that drives me up a wall. I'm like, why don't you instantly agree with me?
But the more that you value my opinion, even if it's wrong, the more I want to lean into what you think about this opinion.
I need to give you grace to say, occasionally his judgments will be wrong, and my opinions are not more important than you. My judgments aren't more important than you. I cannot elevate myself above you, and together our judgments and opinions actually make it more beautiful.
In all of the good times and even the trials, through tears and through laughter, yeah, I know that I'll smile when I think of you. Smile for the things you do. Smile, God gave me you. You are a reason I smile. Yeah.
This is Behind Our Smiles.
Pursuing connection.
And finding joy.
Even in the struggle. I'm so glad to be feeling a little bit better.
Yeah,
I feel like
too.
I've been battling a cold for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it just won't go away.
You know, it's funny as we get older, because when I was younger, a cold would last maybe a week. Nowadays, it's like several weeks. And I'm like, why is this cold still
Any
here?
day now. Yeah. So it's like 95%. So I'm glad to be mostly feeling better, ready to go.
Yeah, and we're in a different studio today than we were, that we've recorded in the past. So yeah, a little bit off our
element. Yeah, I'm not saying, you get older too, you hike your habits, and like you have to have certain things in the chair right here, the table here. Now the tables and the chairs are all different. Yeah. So it's okay though. I can still see you.
That's good.
And I think I still feel good and ready to go.
One of the things that Tara and I love most about the podcast, we love a lot of stuff. We love hearing from you. That's one of the things that we love most. And what we really love to hear is what makes you smile about your husband or wife. And we smile at these. We've actually cried at some of them in a good way. We've laughed. I just love hearing a little bit of your life. And Laura is sharing today what makes her smile about her husband, Austin. She said, it's his loving thoughtfulness and consideration for me and my needs. Whenever I express my need, Austin always supports me. That's pretty cool, Austin. What a cool thing to have your wife say about you. And Laura, thank you for sharing. And you can share what makes you smile about your husband or wife. Just email us anytime, Tara, Tara, at behindoursmiles.com.
So what usually inspires me as I write an episode, often I love these messages we've gotten before, and so many things that you guys have emailed us, that certain words just kind of stick out to me. And I go, wow. And that word's consideration. It's such a kind of almost overused word, but it really encapsulates this idea of how do we consider each other and taking care of whether our needs or our wants, and just saying, hey, I see you and I'm considering you. So I'm like, I want to consider the word consider today.
So I want to consider. Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of things to consider. And the biggest thing we're thinking about is considering your opinion. And I say this because this is something I have struggled with mightily over many, many years. So we recently had a chance to travel to Georgia to see our son and our daughter-in-law, and most of all,
our new grandson,
the new little baby. So much cuteness. But if you think about when you plan a trip like that, and we've been planning it for a little while, trying to figure out the timelines and figure out who's going where and when, all the things we have to do to get there, and how many decisions have to be made, and how many times, again, we had to stop and go, well, what do you think? When do you want to leave? Well, when? How long should we stay? How do we work this out? And I feel like those moments, even for us, and we're in a good place, healthy, it's like constant, like, what should we do? And having to consider each other's opinions about how are we going to handle this.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's not even about opinions as much as it's about just make the decision.
Right.
I don't want to think about it. And other times it's, well, you made a decision and you didn't even talk to me about it. I would love to have spoken into that.
So in a lot of the situations where we're making decisions really fast, and I'm just like a little bit like, hey, let's get this done. Like, I have a plan. I can see how the strategy should go. Leave at this time. Go do this. And I sometimes get a little ahead of myself. And Joe's like, hey, over here, I'm raising my hand. I'm waiting for you to call on me. I have a thought about the situation. And it's like, yeah, whatever. Here's what we're going to do. And go, does my opinion count right now? Can I give you my opinion on how we should go forward? And it's like, oh, great. Do I have to really think about your opinion? It's much easier just to go with my way and not have to worry about your thoughts and everything.
And hopefully that's beneficial, though, when you do get my opinion.
In the end. So, but the scripture that always speaks to me and says, okay, this is how we're going to look at when we're making decisions and when we're living our life is from Philippians 2. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. Like, okay, I have to consider what the other person in my life, that being you, Joe, is wanting and needing that situation. And so many times I felt that look that you've given me. It's like, hey, did you ask me what I think about it? Or you ask me what I think about it and I just completely dismiss it altogether. So this is like me telling you, I got to work harder at this.
Okay, so I'm going to be quiet and let you talk then. Well, I think we all do. We absolutely all do. And I'm right there with you. I think sometimes it's not even being selfish as much as just trying to get the decisions made, right? There are certain things that have to get done. And then I forget. I'm like, oh, I didn't check in with Tara on that. And then other times it's like, well, I really want it this way. So if I ask, it may go that way. So, this is the best way anyway. So we'll just do it this way.
And I think there's that convicting statement that I've thought about my life going, okay, let's look at my life as a whole from the time I wake up and what toothbrush I brush my teeth with to, what kind of pillows are on the bed. How much of that is there because it's what I want and it's the things that I set up. It's my way. And I go, oh, there's a good amount of that. Like that's the toothbrush I like and this is the pillows I like and this is how I set up my day. But not going, I fight so hard for my preferences. So I think when it comes to considering your opinion, one element of that is your preferences. I prefer things this way. And it turns out, Joe, that you prefer things the opposite way.
Not always the opposite, but different, right?
Different.
Not always. And then I think sometimes I can look at your preferences and I can go, well, that's wrong. It should be this way. Why are you thinking about it that way? It should be this way. And I can totally, or I just space it.
So preferences. So preferences are neither good nor evil, right? It's just the way you prefer to do things. You sleep on your side, you sleep on your back, you sleep on your stomach. Neither of those is wrong. But what comes to mind when I say we have different preferences for how life should go?
The way the dishwasher is loaded, the temperature in the house, whether the fan's on or not.
Oh, the fan. We talked about the fan before. I prefer no fan. You prefer a fan.
Where we go to eat.
How our house is arranged.
Where the furniture, what color that furniture is, what color is on the walls.
What kind of rugs we buy.
Books are on the bookshelf. What movies we watch. Yeah,
so
there's a lot.
I think that's a good question for me to ask. How have I failed though in considering your preferences?
Oh, wow. We're going to start right with the failures.
Like me coming forward and going like, am I considering my husband's preferences? He prefers things. And there's some things I'm like, no, I don't want to do it your way because it's wrong. But I'm going, he also can have his preferences. He just prefers things.
This is a hard one because we have gotten so much better at this.
Yes.
We've worked really hard. I would say if we were talking earlier in our marriage, I could come up with a lot of areas where I think there were some failures probably on both sides. But in later years, I don't know. I think I'd have to really think about that.
Think of a million preferences.
Okay, so I like having my clothes hung up a certain way, and you like to have them hung up differently sometimes. You like to have them arranged differently. I like the chair in our bedroom to have my shirt on it, and you don't like my shirt on the chair.
Well, another thing, this is where I'm going to get to. Like, okay, you also have a different preference with the freshness of your food.
Okay. Oh, so we're getting into food.
Your tolerance for food that may not be fresh is much lower than my tolerance.
For instance, if we have some lunch meat that's been in the refrigerator for a couple of weeks, I probably am not going to eat it. No,
it's not a couple of weeks. It's for 3 days.
No, I'm okay on the 7-day mark. I think 7 days I'm done.
So, anyway.
But you wouldn't, you're like, well, does it smell okay?
You smell it. If it smells good, it's good.
No.
So, but that's a preference, right? Obviously, if you're wrong, I guess one of us could be poisoned. But it's a preference. And I think, so in my mind, though, I would take your preference and say, because you prefer to have your food be just a little fresher, if it's been sitting out a little bit too long.
I love how you say a little fresher. I'm talking like 14 days to 5.
You're more like 3. If it's like you bought it on Tuesday and it's Friday, it's old. Yeah. But But we laugh
If
about
it's
it
been
now.
open.
No. And we laugh about it, and we have learned to laugh about it, but we have different preferences there. I prefer to like get more out of my food and let it last another day. I follow all the guidelines. You just like to be on the if it's a 5 to 7 range, you're at 4 and I'm at 7.5, you know. But and not saying though, in all the times that we would like kind of give each other a hard time about that, or you would we would just kind of get into it. Like, why don't you eat the lunch meat? It's perfectly fine. Like, no, it's not. But getting to this point in our marriage where we could say, you are allowed to prefer your food to be fresher.
Yeah.
Like,
and
that's an
you're
opinion
okay to
you can
not have your food.
And you don't, right. You don't, like, if I happen to say, honey, if the food is 6 days old and I choose to eat it, that's my prerogative. And like, if you say, honey, it's 6 days old, I choose not to eat it, that's your prerogative. And I think that took me a long time to get there. I was like, no, I have to convince you to prefer it my way. I have to come get you on my side and say, you should eat your food at 7 days past its open date, whatever. Instead of just saying, you know what, that's his opinion. He prefers to eat his food fresher, and it's okay. And it takes me a long time just to say that versus like, what's wrong with you? You don't do it my way. And I now accept it mostly.
Now, I
still will give you a hard time about it, but
you just kind of look at me. It's fine, Joe.
So how have you felt though?
It's fine.
How do you feel in that moment when I'm going, what you think about the matter doesn't matter?
Okay, so again, and back to what I said earlier, you go back early in our marriage and it would drive me absolutely crazy and it would lead to conflict because I don't want to eat it if it's 7 days old. I'm sorry. I don't want to get sick. And you're like, but it's wasting money. And I'm like, and the only thing I'm thinking is I should have eaten more when I ate it because then it would be gone.
But what bothers you more?
I wouldn't have to worry about it.
What bothered you more? Let's say eating food that's 7 days old, or me telling you it doesn't matter and what you think about it doesn't matter in the end.
Oh, that's a hard question because I don't want to eat food that's...
Wow, I didn't realize you were that strong about it.
No,
but I felt like it wasn't just a matter of you going, I don't want to eat that lunch meat that's 7 days old.
Yeah.
What seemed to aggravate you, this is me telling you what you think. What seemed to aggravate you is I can't even say,
right.
I'd rather not eat it.
Yes. No, I think you're absolutely right. And we've worked through that. But I had to get to a place where I could say, hey, my preference does matter.
Right.
Like this does matter to me. And I don't want to eat that. I think leftovers are the same way. I'm all for leftovers. I love when you make extra and we have leftovers the next day. It's that third day that I go, you know what? I'm not so crazy about the leftovers anymore. And you have come a long way to say, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
You're good. We can do something different. But in the early days, you're like, no, that's wrong. You need to eat the leftovers.
Your preference is wrong, and you're not allowed to have a preference that's mine.
All right. So we've been picking on you a little bit. Is it time to pick on me?
Yeah. So which of my preferences do you think are wrong? The way I live my life is just flat out wrong. Like in your immature mind.
Yeah. You like to be early to everything. And I mean, actually you like to be early, like you're early on early.
I like to be early to the early.
Yeah. But it's like we get there early for early.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. That's the responsible thing to do.
So that's probably a preference that it's took me a long time to go, okay, it's probably fine, especially to church.
But what was your immature response at first?
Church isn't started when we get there. Let's just get there when church starts or get it there closer to when church starts. I saw it as a way that I could have an extra 10 minutes of sleep. And so I liked my 10 minutes
But
of
did you
sleep.
think I was wrong for having that opinion?
Wrong is a strong word, but
hey, that's what I think. I think it's wrong.
I thought it was crazy that we had to get there.
Like
so
I
early.
should change my opinion on that.
Yeah.
Like I should come your way.
Yeah, you should want to go to church later. So nowadays it's not a big deal because I understand you like to be there, and actually because I like to serve you. I love when we're in our seat before the ticker starts, the clock down or whatever, the countdown. But the clock down, and I also understand because there are times when we have been a little bit later and then we don't get our seat.
Yeah.
So I get all of that now, but in those early days, I'm like, why do we have to be there so early?
I could sit here and list the reasons why, right? And there are some logical reasons why that I will not share about why one should be early to church, especially if one is bringing children to church.
Well, what would be really bad is we'd have to get there early and she'd make me eat leftovers on the way out the door.
But not about, building your case of saying, here's why my preference to be early is right. Even though I think if I had to do that, I could rightfully win that argument. But it's more or less saying, is it okay if Joe just prefers not to be? And let the chips fall where they may, right? And let's just say, worst case scenario, you're late, you don't get the parking spot, you don't get the right seat. Whatever happens, awful. There's no coffee left, there's no donuts left because you're late. And you're sitting there going, that's okay. And I'm going, but oh no, it's so wrong. We didn't get our spot and we didn't get a donut. And you're like, I just am okay with being late. And I'm like, but I'm not okay with it. So I think that was like the jump that I was able to make to say, sometimes it just doesn't matter to him the way it matters to me. And it's okay.
Right. And I think the same here is like, that's exactly what happened for me as well, to go, this means a lot to her. It matters to her. So let's just do it that way. And even with the leftovers, I think I've come a little bit your direction.
You have come my way, yes.
Not much, but I think there's a big difference between not finding a parking spot and throwing up for 3 days too, though. So.
You've never thrown up. I've never food poisoned you in our 28 and a half years of marriage.
That's because I don't eat food. That's
You don't know how old some of that food is. I always tell them, like, hey, sometimes I make my best judgment when it comes to the food.
Yes.
And I have not poisoned anybody.
No.
Yet.
No, that's okay, a good point.
So one thing.
And we've never not had a parking spot.
We have had to walk a long way, though.
Yes, true.
And we have missed the coffee, whatever.
True.
So one is considering each other's opinions, which, again, I've learned to say he's allowed to have an opinion that's different than mine. It does not make it right or wrong. And we can learn to serve each other and serve each other's preferences and say, honey, to serve you today, let's not worry about leaving early. We can leave a little later and I will deal with it. And I think I've come that way with you a little bit.
Have I come that way with you?
But I think...
Wait. Have I come that way with you?
You have totally come that way. So, but when I think about considering each other's opinions, I think there's a bigger fish to fry that I think we've had to both work on, which is considering each other's judgments. And I say the word judgments, meaning like, what do you think is going on here? What should we do? Like when you have a situation going on in your family or in society or in your work or in your church, and you have a thought about the situation of what's going on. Who's right? Who's wrong? How should that be handled? And we are both free to like spout out our own thoughts and opinions, but sometimes I don't give the same level of weight to your thoughts and opinions on a matter versus mine.
And vice versa.
And you can say that, yeah.
Because I think the weight of whether I eat food that's a day older or not, or whether we get to church on time, is different than should we have a child, or should I take this job, or
let's say, I think with parenting, this is where it shows up, right? So there's a parenting issue going on at whatever age, whatever stage, and you're going, what's going on with this kid? How do we handle this issue, this behavior, this attitude, their life, their future? I mean, these massive decisions we've had to make in regards to our kids. And I kind of like, I see things a certain way and say, here's what's happening and here's how we should handle it. And then you come in sometimes, you're like, I think this is what's happening and this is how we should handle it. And that drives me up a wall. I'm like, why don't you instantly agree with me and every opinion that I have about certain situations? So that would kind of bug me when you did not agree with my assessment of what's going on. Did you ever notice that?
No, never. Of course, it would bug me as well, because I think as humans, we want to be right. I want to be right. I want to be right in this situation. And then there are times when one of us may have a little clearer view or a little bit higher view. They see down the road a little bit further.
And I'm sure that person is me.
Yeah. And so then when the opinion is pushed aside or ignored, or it, number one, leads to conflict, but it can lead to bigger problems because we don't then make the right decision, or we're not on the same page in making the decision.
But I think what stopped us up there was not, it's like, I know we disagree, and we've talked about disagreement a lot, and it sounds like we disagree about everything, but we don't. No. But just those disagreements kind of come to the surface more, like they're what you think about when you think about our marriage. But I think more about disagreeing and going, whatever your opinion is or whatever your thought on the situation is, it's less important than mine, automatically.
Is that a human default?
Instead of saying, hey, you bring your thoughts to the table, and I'm going to take that into consideration. You bring your thoughts to the table, and they're both equal thoughts and opinions about a situation. And maybe they're completely opposite. Like, wow, I think what that person did was 100% right. That good call. You're like, I think what that person did was 100% wrong. He should go to jail. You're like, wow, how can we have such opposite opinions about a situation? Now, obviously in that situation, there might be a right and wrong. that we're working through to say, we really don't know what's going on. We don't know maybe who's done the right thing and who's done the wrong thing. But I think that conversation got shut down because we couldn't really say your opinion matters. It was like automatically whatever Joe thinks is less important than what I think. And I think we ended up looking like the talking heads on TV. You know, we get the opposite opinions on a TV talk show, and you have 4 talking heads and they're all screaming at each other. And they're like, but you don't understand. But that's not the case. And you're like, can you all just take turns talking? But that's how I think our marriage looks sometimes. We're like, nope, I'm just going to tell you why I'm right. And I'm not going to listen to what your actual response to me is.
And there are times when I literally will ask for your opinion and then do that.
Yes,
and
you do.
Be like, well, your opinion is wrong. So
I'll ask for your opinion on what I should do. And when it's not what I think you should say, then I'm like,
isn't that true?
Right.
That's a great point you bring up, because I think that is absolutely true. More often than not, when we ask for an opinion, we're looking for someone to confirm
from what we want already
what we already want to do or what we think is right. And so when we get a different opinion, then So I've had to learn over the years to, number one, don't let pride drive the ship. Mm-hmm. Be like, okay, your opinion. And there have been countless number of times where you've saved our family money, heartache, all that kind of stuff by just leaning into, hey, what do you think about this?
And where I had to get to with this was, even in the times you were wrong, and the times I was wrong, you're allowed to be wrong too. I can look back at decisions I made or things I thought were true or things I thought were right and wrong. I go back and say, oh, I don't think I had the whole picture and what was going on there. I may have judged too soon or judged wrongly a situation. But then I need to give you grace to say, Joe's occasionally his judgments will be wrong, and I can still listen to him and respect his opinion. Where I think when I automatically assume and treat you as if everything you say is wrong, it doesn't give us a chance to grow. Versus really be able to say, oh, that's a good thought. Let me think about that.
Yeah.
Versus well, why would you think that? No one would think that way about that situation. And really in each other, growing that respect in our relationship, I think for me, there was a lot of disrespect of saying, I don't really respect my husband's thoughts. They're not quite on par. Instead of saying, no, maybe my husband does have good thoughts. It does mean he might be wrong once in a while, but I will still respect his thought processes, because the way you get to things is different how I get to things. So I go, he's using a different kind of logic than I'm using, so therefore he's wrong. I don't know.
Also, what ends up happening, the more that you value my opinion, even if it's wrong, the more I want to lean into what you think about this opinion. And I've learned now, being almost 29 years of marriage, there have been so many times where you literally did save us. You saved us money, or you saved us from a mistake, or from something that could have led to something
church.
Catastrophic. Those things are those things. But if I don't trust you with the little things of honoring your opinion, and then I'm not going to trust you with the bigger things. And it's those bigger discussions that we've had over the years where you've been a huge, tremendous helpmate in helping to make those decisions. But had we still been fussing over the little preference things, I don't think we get to a place where we even ask. I don't even think I value your opinion. I just say, honey, this is what I think we should do. We should do this. But I love that you are, because there are times when it's like, now it's funny because there are times when I want your opinion and you don't have one, or vice versa. You're wanting me to tell you what to do. And I'm like, I don't
Joe,
even
you
know.
Got this. I don't think I can give you a better.
The same. And so I think the relationship has come a long way, but I think it's also, this is the big part I don't want to miss. It has benefited us. We are in a much better place today, not because I learned to value your preference and learned to value you as a person. That's in and of itself a given, but we're in a much better place today because we've made very different decisions along the way based on this idea that we've learned to value each other's opinion. You've been able to speak into things, and the outcome has become much better than it would have been had I not leaned into your preference.
Well, and sometimes with the
trusted
issues
your
of
opinion.
Making judgments on things, that's where not just thinking highly of each other, but understanding that we do each have an area of expertise too sometimes. So we can also say, hey, I want your opinion because I happen to know that you are better at this situation in this area. And leaning into that, it feels good to say, actually, you probably know more about this than I do. How do I handle this? And I really appreciate that. But I think of those big decisions we made where it felt really good to be able to say, I'm going to just trust his judgment. And I think I'll give 2 examples of both. And one is when we made our big move that I wasn't 100% sure of how and when you kind of took the lead on that. But I'm like, I'm going to trust his judgment because I think he's onto something. I'm not 100% feeling the same thing, but it turned out you had great judgment on that. And I'm like, okay, let's go let's move, let's change jobs, let's upend our life. And like, it was awesome. I understand that was your area of expertise.
You weren't saying it was awesome at the time.
No, but like,
yes.
it was like, I can get on board with this, even though I didn't have the same judgment call at the time of what should we do. I wasn't like, oh, the answer is to move. I'm like, the dilemma is let's just wait it out. So, and then I think about,
Well, I want to just speak into that real quick before you go on to point number 2. That was also a time in my life when I needed your opinion because those were big decisions. Our kids were at ages where we were actually moving. A lot of things were in the works, and I believed that God was moving us in this direction. But I remember praying clearly, I need Tara on board. I need her to speak into this, and I need her to, even if she's not excited about it, but to be able to trust you. You were going to say, okay, I trust you in that moment, but I really needed you to more than trust me. I needed you to also catch the vision.
yes.
To catch on board.
Well, I'm really grateful in that time that you did 100% say, I want your opinion. Like, I want your judgment. What's your take on all this? And part of me was like, this is more than I can 100% grasp. Like, I really do want to lean on your take. Now, granted, then we look into buying a new home and having that, then it's like, okay, I think my opinion lasts a little bit more than yours. I'll give you all the opinions of where I want to live and all that. So kind of taking the lead on that and then me saying, yeah, my opinion is I think you're on the right track, Joe. I'm going to follow you because I'm not sure. Now, if we reverse situations and we go back, 10 years to saying, honey, I think God's leading us to have another child, like I think this is the next move considering our family. Like, we don't have enough exciting things going on. And at the time you're like, I'm not 100% sure about that, but you had a sense of, honey, I trust your judgment here. Like, what I might be a few steps behind you, but I'm going to kind of see this is your area of expertise. You understand family life and kind of this better than I do. I'm going to go with it. And then of course you were 1,000% on board. And was I right?
You were totally right. And obviously, as anybody that's had a child more than they thought they were going to have goes, what would we do without that child, right? The child's here now.
But it's fun. It's fun to be able to say that to each other. I think that's been a fun thing that we can encourage each other with, to say, Joe, remember that time that you made a call to do that? That was the right call. Thank you for, you were so right there. I love it. I love being able to say that versus the opposite. And you be able to say to me, Tara, you made that call and that judgment. You saw that before I did. That was cool. And I think that's a nice way versus having to point each other and saying you're wrong, to say, man, you were totally right about that.
But it also goes the other way in the sense that you have leaned into me to make a decision and maybe it wasn't the right decision or vice versa, to offer grace in those moments and to problem solve together, to say, instead of pointing my finger at you saying, I knew you were wrong.
Yes.
I knew this wasn't going to work.
Oh.
And then what do? We're working against each other. This was a call that you thought was right. I know it didn't work out.
Apart.
How do we move from here, right?
Yeah.
How do we problem solve? There have been a lot of those little things where I thought, Tara, this is where we need to go, or this is what we need to do. This is my opinion. And then it ends up not being right. And you've been very gracious to say, okay, that's fine. How do we learn from this? And how do we move forward from here?
Well, that's why in the end, I think as much as I want to say, hey, Joe, what you think matters and your opinion counts, and Tara, what I think matters. But it's not constantly a power struggle, because in the end, we both have to somehow say, okay, we have to know, what does God think? What are his thoughts in this matter? Now, even in that area, we may still have different opinions, as the history of the church has shown. But I think to still say, hey, we understand that I have my opinions and judgments, you have yours. We also know that all of our judgments are trumped, and say, okay, we know that there's a higher authority, that God does have he's the holder of all truth and true righteousness. And we're just trying to pick some of it and hope that it aligns. But I think if we both are in that place of saying, hey, we know that I'm not the final arbiter of justice.
Right.
My opinion on everything is not the final truth. Like, I'm woefully inadequate.
Can I just say, praise God, right? Because I think I would be in a lot more trouble.
But that God judges the world. He's the judge.
Yeah.
He's the one who's going, okay, I will tell you the lay of the land. I will tell you who's following me and who's not. I'll tell you who's making the right decisions and who's not. Like, and it is comforting to go, okay, God's going to figure all that out, because sometimes we don't know how to judge situations and how to know what the right call is. But if in our marriage, we're both saying, okay, we want to depend on the one who we knows makes the right call and try our best to follow that.
Yeah, and in a 30-minute podcast, we're not going to be able to articulate. This is 29 years of work that you're hearing here, this sense that I was not always gracious when it came to Tara's preferences or opinions. I didn't always ask her correctly or at all sometimes. And I have for sure told her her opinion is wrong.
And I've told you more often than me.
So this is a work in progress, but I am really grateful with the fact that God has blessed the work of our hands and the effort in really wanting to value each other. And so now a lot of common questions are, what should we do? What do you think we should do? Or what are your thoughts about this? How do you really feel about this? What are you thinking?
Well, I love when you ask me that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, instead of me having to like push and shove and say, hey, interrupt you like I just did. Instead of me like interrupting you and going, let me tell you what I think.
Yeah.
And you say, what do you think? It's like coming home from church. So what do you think about the message that he shared? What was your thought process about this? Or here's my opinion. And to go, hey, this really is an open conversation. We're not here to push each other down.
It's funny too, because if I don't think you're asking for my opinion or you don't want my opinion, oh my goodness, I want to insert it.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it's heard clear. But when you ask a question, Joe, what do you think about this? There's a way to that, to where I go, wait a minute, okay, if I speak into this at this moment, then what I say very well could be where this ends up going. And so a lot of times it's very, really cool when we're able to ask each other that. But at the same time, it causes me not to just flippantly give an opinion. It causes me to really think through that opinion and go, okay, this is what I'm thinking, but let's talk it out. This is not the all in all of the.
But yeah, finding those ways to affirm each other and say, I hear your opinions and they're valid. I hear your judgments and there may be some good truth in there, even if they're wrong, but I want to hear them. And I think even when I say something that we disagree with, to kind of say, oh, I hear you. I hear you on that. Here's my thought. Or that's true, but here's how I saw it. Or I like the way you thought about that. So it's like, we don't have to necessarily be, again, those two news talking heads that are just like battling it out, to go, hey, that is a really nice way of thinking about it. Here's my perspective, instead of going, well, you're wrong.
It's basically like this. Instead of telling you you're wrong and I'm right, it's saying, where am I wrong and where could you be right? It's just simply turning the question around, and then I don't feel like I have to be right. I can literally come into it humbly, saying I don't really know, because sometimes when I want to be right, or in the old days when it's like I just want to, I'm tired and I'm tired of you telling me what I prefer or whatever, and this is where we're going.
What you want?
Many times I may have only been about 60% sure the answer was right. So this way, at least we can have a conversation about it before we make a decision. So
but your opinion does count. And I think that's what I've had to tell myself. My husband's opinion does matter to me. Now, whether or not it's right or wrong, it should matter. It should have some weight in my life. So that when I'm going through the refrigerator, I should say to myself, what would my husband think? You know what? He would prefer this. And I go, I'm going to go his direction. Or I bring to him a dilemma or a problem I'm having, and he goes, hey, maybe you consider this. And even though in my mind, I'm like, I don't want him, I don't like his judgment, but like, let me think about what he said. He usually is pretty smart. And I'll mull it over in my head and go, there's something I can learn from that right there. I should have listened carefully, and I can learn from it. Even if you're not 100% right on your judgment, I usually can learn from something you say. I go, okay, he's got a different perspective on life. He's coming from a different place, and I like it.
Here's where it gets even crazier. Sometimes you'll come to me, ask my opinion about something. I'll offer my opinion about it. It's not the right opinion, but before you can even assess that, or you're thinking to yourself, oh, why did I ask him?
Yeah.
I'm going, wait a minute, why do I think that way about that? And then I'm growing in that process, and I end up going, no. Don't even, that's not what I meant. No, don't do that at all. But I think it goes back to even, was it episode 2 that we did? Yeah. That was a huge adjustment
the same thing.
in our marriage. I don't even know how we came to that conclusion, but the reason that was episode 2 was because that was monumental in so many aspects of our marriage, of going from, nope, that won't work.
My ideas don't matter.
Your ideas don't matter.
Your opinion doesn't matter.
To, that's a great idea. Your opinions matter. Now tell me more. Help me understand why you're passionate about this or why that matters.
Because in principle, if we're getting married and we're choosing to commit our lives to each other, like we did many years ago, ignorant of a lot of these things, aren't I marrying you to say, man, you're someone I want to tie myself to? Like, your judgment call, I want to trust that as much as I possibly can. And again, when the judgment call is incorrect, still supporting you and loving you, just like I want you to support me and love me. When I go, honey, you were right. That plan totally didn't work. And saying, and we'll clean it up together. We got this.
Yeah. And being humble about it, because if I come to you and say, man, thank you for trusting my opinion, I'm really sorry that didn't work out right, you're much more quickly to go, well, hell, let's pitch in together, get this cleaned up. But if I'm sticking to my guns and saying, no, this is the right call, even though we're way off track, going down the wrong road, that makes you just want to say, fine, then he can deal with the consequences.
And say, no. So I hope you believe that your opinion counts, Joe. I really worked on.
I do.
And it's that internal struggle to go, I cannot elevate myself above you. My opinions are not more important than you. My judgments aren't more important than you. That together, our judgments and opinions actually make a more beautiful whole.
Can I ask the same? Can I say the same thing? That I hope that you know that your opinion matters to me.
Yes, you cater to me more than I cater to you, I think. Right? If you ask yourself, who gets their way most of the time? It's like,
But it should be. We were watching a sitcom one time, and the wife was all worried about something. He goes, "What are you worried about?" She goes, "Well, I worry that you might love me more."
Yeah.
He goes, "Of course I love you more." So I think at some point, isn't that the way it should be? Yeah. It should be that.
I feel very much catered to, but again, you can take that love and that consideration that you give me as a husband, and I could take that and just say I'm entitled to it. So therefore, because I want it, I get it. I want it this way, so he does it. Versus saying, you are more than willing to serve me in so many ways. The only thing you ask is saying, would you consider my opinion?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, where do you want to eat? I want to eat here. I want to eat here. You're like, baby, I don't like that restaurant, but I'll go there for you. Hey, just consider my opinion. I don't like it, but I'm willing to serve you. So I think as I've seen that service in you, it makes me want to consider your opinion.
And there should be balance, right? It shouldn't be that I'm eating at a restaurant I don't like every single time.
I don't like that either.
But it also should be that you should never get to go to that restaurant. I should want to also cater to you at times and say, you know what, I'm not a big fan, but let's go tonight if that's really where you want to go. And that's a good audit of the relationship is to ask those questions. Who does get their way more often? And it doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but it's just to ask the question, right?
Especially your home, how your home is set up. Your parenting, what the kids are doing, or what the guidelines around the kids are, whose call is that, your schedule, what kind of social events you're involved in, who calls that, your relationship. And you can realize, wait a minute, I think most of these are my opinions. And then the husband or the wife is like, hey, I have an opinion too.
I think it's important not to be afraid of that answer, but to legitimately have the conversation together. And it can be something as simple as, hey, I don't know how to really bring the subject up, but who do you feel, honey, gets their way more often between the two of us? And then don't get mad at the answer. Roll with the answer, because I think balance is important, and balance is different in each relationship. So like, for instance, in our relationship, maybe it's fine that it's 60-40. If we're both happy with that, then that's fine.
I'm happy with that.
Right. But it's finding balance. And I think more importantly is, do I feel, if you are on the 40% side, do you feel that you have an equal opportunity to get your way? So when something's really important to you,
express it too.
Yeah. Can you express that and know that your opinion will matter? It won't just be dismissed or as,
of course it's my way.
Right.
Versus I think most of the times I get my way. Well, most of the way, I don't know. Most of the times that I get my way, it's still after I've said, what does Joe think about it? And I've given you a fair shake before saying, I still think my way is right. But at least I gave you a fair shake. And once, 1 out of 10 times, I'm like, okay, we'll do it your way.
So I think, there's an incredible benefit. It doesn't seem like it because we have to give up control to do it.
Yeah.
But there's an incredible benefit to leaning into the opinion of your spouse, especially if they have a relationship with Jesus. That makes a big difference.
Well, and the last thing with that too is I think if I'm asking your opinion and I know I'm not going to probably follow it or consider it, you give those opinions out more haphazardly than if I go, hey, I got a big call to make. I got a big decision to make. Give me advice. And basically, if you give it to me, I'm going to do it. Then that person's going, I'm going to think really carefully about what I'm going to tell them to do because they're going to do it. Where if I'm dismissing you all the time, then in a sense, you don't have the same responsibility to give me good advice.
Would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Is your marriage balanced?
Your opinion counts
Your
too.
opinion matters.
We like hearing your opinions.
Would love for you to share your thoughts. You can do that simply by emailing us, Tara, T-A-R-A, at BehindOurSmiles.com. Would also love to know what makes you smile about your husband or wife, and maybe it's about their opinion. But whatever it is, would love to hear from you.
Everyone's opinion counts. Just some people more than others.
We'll see you again in a couple of weeks.